Hello and welcome to this session in the virtual village hall for the Royal Voluntary Service on visible mending. Yes, you heard it right. There is not a misprint. We are doing visible mending. So quite an ancient technique, really, one that goes back as long as we've been sewing. But rather than trying to disguise the fact that there's been some damage to your fabrics or garments or whatever it might be, we're going to be looking at how to fix them, but embrace that repair and the history and the life of that garment. So if you want to join in, you're very welcome to. If you happen to be at home, if you happen to have, I don't know, a pair of jeans with a hole in the leg, or maybe an old tablecloth that needs a patch up or two, and then grab yourself that garment or piece of fabric and some scraps out your box. I've got some scraps and bits and pieces here. Grab those and we can have a bit of fun. My name is Mark Francis and I will be your guide for about the next, I don't know, 25 minutes or 30 minutes or something like that, to show you through what we're going to do. Or you might just want to sit back and relax. I do also have my husband with me, Clive Bruder, who is sat beside me doing a bit of sewing as we speak. He's decided to put a zip into his bag. Oh yes, do come and say hello.
Hello.
So Clive will be helping me with the camera operation because as you can see, you can't see what I'm sewing at the moment, but that will be fixed in a few minutes. Yes, you can see I've got lots of bits and pieces going on here. Lovely. So what do we need? What might you need? So what I have here, some pins, always very useful to have around, some fabric glue, which I know gluing and fabric, you might think that's a naughty thing to do, but it can be very useful sometimes. If you've got a pen or something to mark things, that might be useful. This is actually an air erasable pen, so it will just disappear in time. And you'll need some threads, so get your needle book if you have one, or a little needle with some thread. Now I'm going to be using these fun threads. Now I actually picked these up from Sarah Ashford, not her personally, she's the lady who did the range, or maybe she sells them from her house, I don't know. No, she doesn't, apparently she doesn't. Were they from B&M?
Home Bargains.
Home Bargains, I do apologise. And this rather fun box of all these different coloured embroidery threads. And which are a bit, if you're doing this kind of thing, it's great fun. We've got loads of different colours. And what else have we got? We've also got, now we're not going to use this today, but it can be useful if you wanted to, and that is an embroidery hoop. Now what this does, it's got an inside hoop and an outer hoop with a little clamp on the side, and you can just clamp what you're working on in between the two things and tighten it up. But it does just mean that you can stabilize everything. I'm not going to use that today, but it's always very useful. They're not very expensive either. So the first technique we're going to do is a bit of putting an embroidered patch onto something. So pretend this is my tablecloth and it's got a hole in it, but I really like this tablecloth and I don't want to throw it away. So what I've done here, I've got a sample already, and rather than trying to match in the fabric, I've actually got a patch of a contrasting fabric, and I've gone round that with a few stitches. Now a substance that can help you with these kind of alterations is Bondaweb. You can get it in a sheet or on a roll, and it's like a double-sided fusible stuff, if you like, so you can put that underneath the on the patch here in order, and it sticks it down. You use your iron, which I do have to one side here, and it will fuse it to your fabric, and it just keeps it in place. But just be careful on what you're working on. You don't want it to go too stiff or crispy if it's a nice fluid tablecloth. So maybe just do a test first.
Also, if you're using a man-made fibre,
man-made
polyester.
Come on in.
If you're using a polyester, then just be careful of popping the iron on there first. You might want to use an ironing cloth.
Oh, that's a good idea, isn't it? Because it goes and it ekes out the fabric.
I'm here to remind you.
It is. I'm working on natural fabrics today. Linen, so I won't have that problem. So first I'm going to select the fabric for the patch. You can get, if you're like me, you've got a big basket of scrap fabrics in the corner, you can just have a dig, which is where I found this from. This is just a fat quarter. If you're not familiar with a fat quarter, it is just 1/4 of a yard of fabric. You can buy them like this in packs. You can go to, if you don't have any at home, you could go to Hobbycraft and similar kind of shops. Local haberdasheries will also have packs of fat quarters, or if you're near an Aldi, something like that, you'll quite often find packs of fat quarters in Aldi as well.
All the sewing shows.
Sewing shows. Oh yes, we do lots of sewing shows. So if you happen to go, if you have like, if you're near the NEC or Harrogate, then you can actually go along to Knitting and Stitching show, the Creative Craft show. So first of all, I'm going to cut. Just tip it down a little bit more, honey. That's it. I was going to cut myself a little square of fabric, just a little bit bigger than the hole. You can cut any size you like, to be honest, any shape you like. I'm just going to happen to do a square. Now what I'm going to do on this is I'm actually going to fold under the edges with my iron, just like that. I'm going to go all the way around and fold under all the edges, just to give it a nice neat finish. Now you can stand the camera up again now, honey, or you're going to look at this. So there we go. So watch your fingers. I mean, alternatively, if you didn't have a scrap, you can get get patches from shops, can't you? Like colourful patches with like animals and all kinds of designs on. So I'm just going to go around the edges, and this is just to give it a smooth appearance. I did try and find my mini iron, but well, I know where it is. It's in the loft. It shouldn't be in the loft, I don't think. There. So that's our little patch all ready to go. So if I pop this, say my hole, I haven't actually got a hole, I must admit. I haven't actually got a hole.
Well, you can make one.
Shall I make a hole? I know this is a bit...
Well, you know.
For reality.
Reality TV.
Oh no, I've got a hole in my tablecloth. Whatever am I going to do? Look, it's terrible. So I'm going to put a little bit of this glue just round the edge. I know my glue's bright green. And this is just going to hold it in place. You could also use the trusty old pins. You could just pop some pins all the way around it if you wanted. But that will hold it in place. Get your needle. Now I'm going to use, you probably can't tell the thickness of the thread from at home, but this is actually top stitch thread. Now this differs from regular thread because it's thicker. So if you imagine your pair of jeans that you bought from the shop, and then or any of the gold detail that you see on the top is called top stitching, and they use a special thicker thread. And if you choose one of these top stitch threads, then it will just give a much fuller appearance, because what we're looking to do is to be able to see the mend. Okay. So I'm just going to start it off. I'll just go here. There we go. Can you see that? I'm trying to get you in the middle of the frame. I'll just move. There we go. So I'm just going to start it off. Oh gosh, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute, the thread's gone weird at the end. Let me just chop that end bit off. Let's leave that won't do at all. So I'm just going to start this off. And I'm just going to pull it all the way through. And just leave a little tail. We could chop that off later. And if you pull it through again, and then you'll see a loop. Let's go through the loop, and that will secure it. Now this is the magic stitch that I want to show you. So if we go in the main fabric, underneath, so the needle's actually disappearing under the tablecloth, and then I'm pushing it out through the patch. You see that? I'm going to pull it through. And then I'm going back into, so right next to that stitch there, but on the tablecloth, and then I'm going to go under again. And I'm going to pull that through. Oh no, it's got knotted. There we go. And you keep doing this. I'm doing this about every centimetre. But you could do this as often, whatever. They don't have to even be regular lengths. If you want it to be kind of very ad hoc, it's entirely up to you what design you do. Can you see that forming? Hopefully you can see those threads. And then what you get on the back, it should look something like that. So you can still see the hole there, and you've got the little red stitches. So when I get to the corner, I want to anchor this corner. So I'm going to push it through. So the needle has gone under the tablecloth and out on the very corner of the patch. And then I'm just going to do another little stitch immediately on that corner, just to secure that, just to make it nice and stable. So that's one side of the patch popped on. Going to go round the other sides, and you could do you know, you don't even have to have a repair to do this, a hole. You could just do this because you want to put a patch on your favorite jacket. Maybe denim jackets. Now, who watched the Sewing Bee last night? If you're watching this on a pre-record, this will make no sense whatsoever, but if anybody watched the Sewing Bee last night,
Wednesday.
Oh no, we watched it last night. Yeah. You see, it's all very difficult now with catch-up telly. Wednesday this week, they had to embellish denim jackets with all kinds of just old clothes and scraps and all kinds of things. And actually, it was quite good fun, and it makes you realise you can take those kind of garments, maybe one from a charity shop, or a second-hand one, or maybe an old one. Denim jackets don't really go out of style, usually. In fact, Clive, you've had one for a Gap denim jacket for about, I don't know, what, 20 years or something?
Yeah, it doesn't fit me anymore.
No, but it will again. It fits someone else at the moment. But that's the way these things go. So I'm doing exactly the same technique all the way around. So just to remind you, so I'm over halfway now. So I'm going to go into the tablecloth there. It's hard to see the needle. I hope you can see it all. And under the tablecloth, assuming that's what you're working on, and then you're going to come out of the patch about 1 centimetre along from your last stitch. So into the tablecloth, underneath. It's a bit of a slip stitch really that we're doing. And this is a great stitch to learn. If you've got to do any little repairs and you don't really want the stitches to show, this is a great one. I mean, if you were doing something that you didn't want it to be visible, then you can always choose a thread that matches what you're working on, and these stitches that we're doing now will just vanish in the haze. So I'm nearly at the end there. And then there's the most important thing you can do once we're finished, and I'll show you what that is. This is the sewer's secret. It probably isn't really a secret, but And I'm just going to come to the end now. So just to finish off, I'm just going to go back through on the spot, oops, and then just go back. Oh no, where's the loop gone? There we go, back through a loop. There we go. Let's trim that. And there we have, I mean, in fact, you can see, because the light's behind me, you can actually see where the hole is. So that's the front. That's what we've achieved. And that is the other side. The sewer's secret, press everything. Press everything. And what this will do, this will just set your stitches nicely into your fabric. It helps the fabric absorb those stitches. And there we have it, a beautiful patch. Isn't that fun, eh? And it could be, you could fussy cut some fabric, so as an idea. So if you had, and what fussy cut means, if you've got a fabric, oh look at my board, say it's got unicorns on it. So if you like those unicorns, you could actually cut out round the unicorns and use that as your patch, or just an embellishment onto an item, and that will be an awful lot of fun. Let's move on to the next one. And the next one is something a bit more, I really like this, and I hope you will too. So a different technique for achieving a patch that gives you a very nice foundation. So you're not just sewing this around the edge, you're actually sewing over the whole thing. You can have an awful lot of fun and creativity with this. This is called a seed stitch. Can you see that? So I've cut out a square of contrasting fabric, and I've got an embroidery thread. Doesn't have to match. You could match, you could use any colour you like. And we're going to go round it in these random running stitches. That's the back. So I'm going to choose a different contrast fabric this time. I found this. Isn't this nice? Hope it's not getting too crazy on your have you just pricked yourself with your needle?
Yeah.
My Clive is actually trying to put a zip into a bag that didn't have a zip when he made it. How's it going?
Okay. What, in between doing the camera work?
In between doing the camera. Here's, you see, he's multi-talented. I couldn't do this without. So I'm going to cut the, oh, shouldn't point you to with the scissors. I'm going to cut the patch that I want. So again, I'm just choosing a square because it's a nice simple shape for today's demonstration, but you can actually do any shape you like. This one I'm not going to turn over the edges for this. I'm going to leave it exactly as it is. Get a bit of your fabric glue. If you're going to craft shops, again, if you want names, and Hobbycraft will have this, your local haberdashery might have it, or you can look on the internet. In fact, if you when you buy shirts, I know this is a sewer telling you this, but when you buy shirts from a shop, quite often, don't be surprised if you took it to bits, you'll find that it's glued together. I know. There was someone I follow on Instagram bought a shirt, a Paul Smith shirt that he really wanted, but it wasn't his size. So he bought an extra large he found on eBay, and he took it to pieces to resize because he's a sewer. And when he unpicked it, he found out that it wasn't only just sewn together; it was glued together as well. For these very purposes, it holds everything in place. It sounds like a bit of a cheat, but there's good reason why they do it. Now we're going to use a different thread for this one. Now if I can find the end of it, where's it gone? Where's it gone? Hang on a minute. Have you seen my embroidery thread? Have I got to get another one? Oh no. There's a needle on the end. We're going to use some embroidery thread here, folks, if I can find it. It's got white thread on the end of it. Is it still in my needle book? Have I got to thread it again? I thought I had one threaded up.
You did.
I'm sure I did have one threaded up. But in the meantime, I will press on. I found another needle. Now the thread I want all knotted up. Isn't this the way with live broadcasts? So, get yourself some embroidery thread. You can get these really cheaply. Like I say, I've got this big box of them will be picked up from Home Bargains, but you can get individual colours from shops. Again, local haberdasheries, craft shops, and the like. Just you can't see the end of my arms here, but I'm just doing it in an arm's length because you don't want to work with anything more than that. So cut it, and then well. Lick the end helps. Licking the end of your needle also helps. Oh, sorry, there's a squirrel on our fence outside. He's come for his nuts. In fact, I'm going to take my glasses off for this so I can get this through the needle. This is where I spend 25 minutes threading a needle live on the RVS, isn't it? Oh no, look at that, I've done it. And at the end, just tie a little knot. Beep. Just a very simple, well, you probably can't see that, but there is a knot, I can promise you. Trim the end down. So if I show you, you might just be able to see that there. There we go. Just a little tiny knot. Go back. This tablecloth is terrible. Look at it. I don't know where it's been. It's full of holes. So I've actually glued my patch in place. Again, you could pin this in place if you didn't want to use a fabric glue. You just want to keep it in place. That's all you want to do. Now you can start anywhere with this. I'm going to start here in the corner. And this is called a running stitch, which is just usually in a straight line, in and out the fabric in a straight line. See, the knot actually holds it in place, so you haven't got to tie anything off.
Do you want me to move the camera?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, if you could get it to look down on me here, if that's possible.
It's on my spot.
We go down here. There we go. I wonder if my friend Louise D's watching this. Do you think she is? It's funny, the people who watch this, because locally they just come and see you. They tell me, I've seen you. If you're watching, Louise, hello. There we go. That's one done. And all I'm going to do now is just go back out the fabric somewhere else. And then somewhere else I want to go. I want to go up there now. Now I want to go. And the stitches, I mean, when I started doing this, I started doing all the stitches the same length, but they don't have to be the same length. They could all be different lengths. And at first, when I was doing this for the first time, I thought, God, this isn't working. But the more you do it, the more you cover the fabric in these little stitches, then the more it secures the whole thing. So I'm just going from behind, up and down, in and out. And this is actually really very therapeutic. Let me show you what I've got so far. I'll hold it up to the camera. There we go. That's what we got so far. They can be as close together or as spaced out. Where did I get to? I've got myself into the corner now. Or as spaced out as you want it to be. Could you just... There we go. That's it. You should be one of those cameramen at Wimbledon.
Yeah. No.
They used to joke that cameramen at the cricket were World War II fighter pilots.
Why?
because they could follow the ball. The ball would go flying off into the air and there'd be a cameraman following it within millimetre accuracy and keeping it in the middle of the screen.
Wow.
I mean, I'm doing this very random. Just anyway, I don't think I'm going to be able to fill this square in the time we have available. But I'll keep going for a bit. But you could, instead of doing it randomly, you could actually design something. You could either do some kind of geometric design, or you could do something which has like a butterfly or a face all over it. And what this is doing, it adds strength to it. It covers the hole. It looks decorative. And it'll, oh, it's got caught on the ironing board. And this will be on here for years. Well, maybe not this piece, but I might use it. Have you done anything like this, Clive?
No, I haven't actually.
Do you think you might want to?
Maybe.
That's the right answer. But it's a lot of it's quite fashionable now to do this kind of stuff. You don't have to use embroidery floss like this. You could get much sort of more expensive threads, like kind of silk threads, and you could do it in all kinds of different colours.
Could you use wool?
I don't see why you couldn't use wool. I mean, if it was too thick, wool comes in a ply, so you've got like so many strands per like 4 ply, don't you, to the wool. So you could actually cut your length off and then pull out a couple of strands for it. I'll leave that there because I want to show you something else, which is also a lot of fun. But there we have it. That's the start of it. And that's called a seed stitch because it looks like you've just scattered lots of little seeds all over it.
Yeah, it looks like rice.
Rice stitch, that's another good word for it. So I'm just going to chop that off. And back up, please, honey. Now, where's my denim gone? You'll love this last one. This is, I think, my favourite. It's a bit more involved. Definitely. Well, I haven't got my glasses on. Oh, I took them off, didn't I? It's a bit more work, but it's worth it. So this looks good. I've seen this done really effectively on denim jackets, on jeans, and things like that. And here we have it. So you're actually embracing the hole. Previously, we put a patch over the top of the hole. On this one, we're going to have the patch underneath the hole. So you can still see the hole. The hole is not hidden. And you can choose a piece of your favourite fabric or fat cord or whatever it is you've got to hand. And then you can set to work in stitching over it. That's the back. And again, it's just a simple running stitch. Now,
Is that too loud?
No, you're okay. Oh, I can't tell. I can't. It's like being in the centre of a storm. So I'm actually going to cut a hole in this denim. Yeah, I could do with some camera operations soon. So I'm just going to cut myself a hole to start with. I know that sounds a bit... When I was researching for this video, I actually saw a lady, and you know, you can buy lots of jeans that have lots of holes in it already. She had a pair of those, and I think they just got worse and worse, depending on your viewpoint. And what she did, and the whole of the jeans were cut open. So what she did was just put long pieces of fabric inside the trousers. So if you're doing this, you might want to work inside out. So there's my hole. That's my fabric. Now the fabric is suitably larger than the hole. So we're going to turn it over and get your glue. Now you could actually mark this with your fabric pen where you want it to go. So that's actually an excellent idea, Mark. Now I'm just marking the corners. This pen disappears after a certain amount of time. I'm going to glue, again, get your fabric glue. And this just holds it in place. And we're going to put it down. So this is the back of whatever it is you're doing this on. We're going to pop the fabric face down.
Right side to wrong side.
Right side of your patch to the wrong side of the jeans. If we turn it over, we now have, get rid of the glue, we now have a patch. But now we need to strengthen this. And like with the previous stitch, the more you sew, the stronger it gets. And you can keep going over this and adding thread to it until your fingers drop off. Although I don't advise allowing your fingers to drop off. So start from the back as we did with the seed stitch. So and you can actually start either on the patch or just before it, but we'll start on the patch. Actually, that's a bit too far over this done. I'll be there all day. There we go. Start there. I would advise doing a large area like I have with the previous one here, but for the point of the demo today, I'll start a bit nearer. Now what we're going to do, if I stand up again, we're just going to go just a running stitch. Now can you see, you can either do one stitch at a time or you can do several like this. I'm just going to weave the needle in and out until I run out of length of needle. Oops, I've got sticky hands now from that glue. This is rather a thick denim as well. I'm just going to keep doing this. The stitches could be regular in length or they could be irregular. It doesn't really matter. And you can keep doing this as much as you want. In fact, you could choose a denim that deliberately matches and just use the decorative stitches.
Could you do mark it out with chalk or something?
What the design you wanted?
Mm-hmm.
I suppose you could really. You can get chalk. If you pass me a bit, honey, actually, in different colours. If you're not familiar, you can get it in white. You can get it in blue. You can get it in like a terracotta-y colour. So you can, whichever one will show up, and they usually they should just brush off or at least wash off a bit later. So once you've got to the end, we're going to go in the other direction. So just on the back, you probably can't see that too well because it's white. Just pop your stitch in to the next row. And then we're going to do, I'm going to try and follow the stitches I've just done. I'm just going to go, keep going, doing this running stitch all the way up, or you don't have to stick to the same colour. Each row could be a different colour if you wanted. If I do another row just back in the other direction, then I'll start going the other way just to show you what it is, how it's going to work. And now I'm actually going over the patch. I'm going right through the hole, which of course is easier to sew through because the fabric's much thinner. And again, like I said earlier, it doesn't have to be straight lines. It could be anything you like, really. The idea is that you're just stitching it over it and through it. So make sure your design is bigger than the hole. Now I'm just going to snip that off there.
Would you knot that bit to secure it?
Yeah, you would normally knot that bit to secure it because you don't want it to fall apart. But you can start to see what's happening. So I'm now going to knot it again because I'm going to start from the other angle this time. There we go. Now it's going to go. It's going to go in and out of these little things to make little crosses.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
Here we go. And then when you're done, you go down to the next layer down here. And back the other way. I mean, you don't have to have a hole. You could just do it. You don't even need to make a hole. And it's just called a running stitch. That's all it is, just going in and out.
Is this method also shishiko?
Yes, and I couldn't think of what the word was.
Shishiko.
Which is from, do you know where that's from?
Japanese, I think.
I think so as well.
Yeah.
Because they love they love this kind of stuff. In fact, I think I'm right in saying, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you have like pottery from that part of the world, they prefer to see the breaks and repairs rather than hide it. They prefer to see everything. They think it adds to the life of and the history of that object. But also on the other end of the scale, there's also people that do mending, which is so invisible that when you get it back, they have to tell you where the hole used to be because you can't see it. I don't know whether anybody's seen this. There we go, that's how we do it. I think I'll leave it there, or I could do the last row, I suppose. Let's just do the last row. Then it will look like I've actually finished something. And this is the kind of stuff you can do in front of the telly with a cup of tea and a piece of angel cake. There we go. I'll leave that there. There we have what we. So you can let's give it a little press on the iron, and like I said, this just sets everything in. And there we have. That's your beautiful. Where is it? There it is. Your beautiful patch on your jeans. There we go. Just a simple idea. What's the time, honey?
11:37.
Oh, I think that'll do. I think that'll do. Let me sit down and you can see my face. I do hope you've enjoyed those techniques. Let me just go through a rundown of what I've just done, shall we, before I sign off. So first of all, we had a applique patch, just gone round the edge with a simple slip stitch. There is actually a proper hole in that one. You could use Bonder web to stick the patch down and just decorate it with stitching around the edge. We then did the seed stitch on the patch. So this is a running stitch, so just going in and out of the fabric in a straight line, but instead of a straight line, it's just random, or not random, whichever you prefer. And then the last one we did was doing a more decorative embroidered style. And as I said throughout the talk, that even if there's no hole there, you could still do something like this, or put a patch on it, or fabric onto a jacket. You can go to charity shops. They are littered with jeans and denim items, and all kinds of stuff which are just crying out to be upcycled and given new love. Or it could be something in your wardrobe that you just want to give a bit of a zhuzh to it. But whatever you do, have an awful lot of fun. Be safe with your iron and your sharp scissors, and see if you can get yourself a nice box of embroidery threads, or go and have a look in your haberdashery. Even if you're not a sewer, go and ask them. Go and ask them, tell them what you're doing, and they'd love to help you. If you've enjoyed it, I do hope you have. Then you can find this video later on the Virtual Village Hall and watch it again if you wish. Or you can come and follow me on @SoMarkFrancis. If I put my glasses on, you might recognise me. Ooh, there we go. @SoMarkFrancis on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, or you can find my website, somarkfrancis.com. So that is it from me. I will see you, I'm sure, very soon here in the Virtual Village Hall. Do close the door on the way out and don't walk on the grass verge, please. So until next time, thank you very much, and goodbye from me and Clive.
Bye.